Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Castle Farms Homestead. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. What have we got on the schedule for today? We're going to be doing some solar. If you've watched some of our previous videos, you know that we've had some problems with our solar. We do have it running and with a minimal amount of power coming into it from our solar panels. We currently have 2 solar panels set up right there and 2 that are just sitting on the ground right there, not being used. Besides that, we have 4 other solar panels that we're going to install as well. Let me show you what system we've got going. So we are currently using the EcoFlow Delta Pro, which is that right there, and we've got 2 extra batteries set up with it. That supplies 120 volts of power. We also have another EcoFlow Delta Pro that's not hooked up right now that we want to get hooked up. And with those 2 combined, you can hook those 2 together and get 240 volt power, which we need in order to run our well. So we're going to do that today, but also we're going to, as I said, set up these panels, these 4 and then the other 4 for the other Delta Pro. We're going to set them up in order to get as much power as we can without frying our inverter, which we almost did last time we tried setting these panels up. Last time I set these 4 panels up, due to my error and not understanding the specifications of the panels, I hooked them all together, hooked them up into the inverter, and Brady starts going, "What's that smell? I see smoke." We quickly disconnected it, and we were really worried that it was fried. But we put it through some tests, and as far as we can tell, it's running fine. It's doing its job still. So we started to smoke some wires or something, but apparently they're still good. We're keeping our fingers crossed on that anyway. But since then, basically what I was doing is, by hooking up the way I'd hooked it up, I was getting too many volts of power in there. And because the panels were putting out more volts than I thought they actually were putting out. So now I found out that I can hook these up a different way to keep the volts in the parameter that they need to be in, and all will be good. So we're going to give that a try today, and we'll do the same thing with the other EcoFlow Delta Pro, and see how it goes. Let's do it. Got them all set up, those first grouping for the Delta Pro. And basically what I did is, in the past, that when we kind of messed it up, is I set all 4 of those panels up, put all 4 of those in line, it's called in series, and hooked it up for the Delta Pro. Well, that accumulates all the voltage together, and it was just too much for the Delta Pro to handle. So what I've done is broken it up into 2 and 2. So you've got 2 panels in series and 2 other panels in series, and then connect those 2 series together, and it's called a series parallel type of connection. By that you keep the voltage down. And I was worried for a while that by doing that I'd have amps too high, but then I found out that the amps, it'll self-regulate the amps, and so I should be okay. So I didn't want to get into all the details of that, but that's the basic understanding. So instead of 4 in a row, now it's 2 and 2, and those 2 connected together and into the Delta Pro. So now we're going to hook it up, and let's see how it goes. Hopefully we won't see any smoke. And hopefully we'll see that we're taking in a lot more voltage than we did before. Sorry, not voltage, but watts than we did before. And so I'm just going to connect this in the back. I got to do it by feel because I can't see back there. Now, before I was getting about 300 watts. It was a little bit overcast and all. And now, yes, right there, that's our input. We're getting almost 1,300 watts out of those panels. So we're getting a lot more power in watts, not volts. So that is working, yeah. So now I got to set up the other Delta Pro and the other 4 panels, and then we'll be ready to hook them up for some 240 volt. I'm actually planning on laying these down flat as well. It's not the best situation to have them leaning up against the fifth wheel like that. For one thing, if there happens to be high winds, it can blow them over. And I'm going to put them down flat. I think they'll be safer that way. And later we'll be building mounts for them and putting them on them. So if you're planning on doing a solar system like this or similar, one thing you would definitely want to take into account is the cost of wires. These are 100-foot long. Those cost $105 is what I paid for them. You might be able to find them a little bit cheaper. I've definitely seen them more expensive. That is something you definitely want to take into account. I've spent at least probably $400 or $500 just on cables. So, and I'm sure I'm not done, because every time I think I've got what I need, I find out I need something else. But so right now I've got the second set of 4 panels hooked up, ready to go. I will need to run these longer cables here over to where the new Delta Pro is going to go. How's that for finger coordination? Not very good. I'm like trying to point at that and I'm going towards it on the camera. Back there. That one. So we got to bring the other Delta Pro in there, get those arranged. I'm moving the smart batteries, the extra batteries, back behind so I can have the 2 Delta Pros in front. I'll hook these wires up to that second Delta Pro, and then we'll be able to connect the 240 hub. Yeah, looking forward to it. Okay, we've got it. Got this second bank of panels hooked up to the wires, run over and up into the compartment here. We brought the other Delta Pro over. Brady's been helping me. He's been editing earlier, so he wasn't able to help, but brought the other Delta Pro in. So they're both in here, got the extra batteries in the back there. And we have plugged in the 240 volt hub, plugs into this Delta Pro and this Delta Pro here. So we are set to plug in here our power to our variable frequency drive for the pump, and hook that up. We'll hook that up in here as well and bring power from the pump over here, and we'll be set. I did find something that really irks me. This is frustrating. If you look at that camera, can you see a little light? Yeah, see a little light there on this. This is what turns on your AC power. So you turn that on. Well, the 240 volt hub also has that button there. And so you have to turn that on to get your 240 volt. So if I turn that on, beep, it turns off my AC on the Delta Pro. Now that is frustrating. Let's try something. I just thought of this. Okay, now I didn't have this one on before, now I do. That light, that one's on, that one's on. Now let's try turning this and see if it shuts those off. Yeah, it does. Very frustrating because we've got our Wi-Fi hooked up to that. We got the power for the fifth wheel hooked up here. So now every time we want to use 240 power to run the pump, we're going to lose our Wi-Fi and power to the fifth wheel. That is frustrating. Oh well. Okay, on we go. Now we need to get the variable frequency drive and bring it over and set it up in here and hook it up. All right, we've got it hooked up. Got power from the 240 hub running into the VFD. I always want to say DVR. We don't want that. Into the VFD, and we've got the power line going out from there to the pump. Brady's got the hose. Time for the big test. Will it work on our solar system? There you go. If I can remember how to turn this thing on now, that'll be the question. Oh, it helps if you actually turn on the power here. That helps. Here we go. Power's on. No sparks, no flames. So far we're doing well. Now nothing's turning on. Yay, nothing's working. We'll be back. Well, this has been very frustrating. Been trying to figure out what's going on. Near as I can tell, I'm not getting any power from the 240 hub. Not sure why. I've checked everything else on my connectors, everything. This turns on, but when I've got it plugged in there, I don't seem to be getting any power. So another project to be continued, unfortunately. But we'll get her figured out. So I don't know what Brady's up to right now. Better check on him.